Hello everyone, welcome to Accounting 210. So in this video, I continue with the chapter 10, and then we focus on one thing called the variance. So I believe most of you already have know that the variance is basically the difference, variance of your actual and then your budget. You have favorable variance, you have unfavorable variance. So I want to use this video to show you simple example, and then we work on the accounting lab that assignment. Okay, so here is the thing. Suppose you are selling the iPhone Y, or whatever, and then at the beginning of the month, so we said January 1st, 2019, you have the budget. This is from chapter 9. And you had the budget of the master budget. You said, oh, in January, you will produce that much units, you will sell whatever units was the selling price. And then 31st, January 31st, you got your actual results, right? You have your actual results, you found that from your sales department, from your production department, and then you have everything there. And then the other thing you also want to know is when we talk about operating income. So remember, we said it's your revenue minus your variable cost that gives you contribution margin minus fixed cost that gives you operating income. So if it's the dollar amount, we use revenue as the example. It's the same as all the costs. So when we talk about revenue, we said the revenue is make up a number. It's $100. How do we get this $100? There are two parts to make this $100. So your revenue is your selling price times the units you sold, right? So we can say his selling price maybe is $20 each, and you sold 5 units. So that will give you $100 as the revenue. Similarly, for the costs, you also have two parts. One is the units you produced. The other one will be the cost of your material, labor, or those things. So for every dollar amount, you have two parts. The selling price or the cost per unit times the units you sold times the units you produced. Okay, so now we said, hey, we want to compare our actual with the master budget. You will get the variance. But if you do that, you cannot figure out the variance can be attributed to the dollar, to the selling price, or to the units, because they both parts can change and your total revenue can be different. So we have to hold one part constant and let the other variable change. So if you observe any difference, if you observe any variance, then that's the variable that changes. Okay, as I say, I make just an example. We said you have your actual, you have your budget. Remember, we always put our actual on the left side. We put the budget on the right side because the letter A goes before the letter B, actual and budget. Okay, so we have the actual number. We have the actual number. We have our master budget. We have our master budget. And then I'll just put it there first. So we said we go from the revenue part, right? We said minus variable cost gives you contribution margin minus fixed cost gives you operating income. So you observed all the actual number from the business. You don't need to calculate. So for actual, there is no calculation. It's just from your actual results. So we found out that our actual revenue make up a number like $200. We totally sold $200 of our sales revenue. We minus variable cost maybe $70. We got our contribution margin $130. We minus fixed cost $40. We got our operating income is $90. Okay. And then we said when we had this $200, we actually sold how many units? You can figure out how many units from your sales department. You said you actually sold how many units? Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, so we just say, hey, you actually sold 40 units. Okay, we actually sold 40 units. So this is based on January 31st, 2019. We went to sales department. We said, hey, you totally sold 40 units, and then that's your actual revenue, your this, that, based on 40 units. Okay, and now, but remember, at the beginning of this January, we made our master budget. At that moment, we said this is based on December 31st, 2019. And then at the beginning of January 2019, we made our master budget. At that moment, we didn't know how many units we will actually sold. We just said, we budgeted, we said, this month, we will sell 45 units. We budgeted to sell 45 units at that moment. And then we said, for 45 units, each one, we sell at $6. Okay, for each one, we sell at $6. So our master budget total sales revenue will be 45 times 6 for each unit selling price. So we got $270 as our sales revenue. And then we said for our variable cost, we total is 45 units. We think maybe it's $2 each. So we got our 90 as our master budgeted variable cost. So we got our contribution margin will be $180 for our master budget based on 45 units. We said for the fixed cost, we would totally spend maybe $50, like depreciation, like insurance will be our $50. And then we got our master budgeted operating income is $130. We got $130. So this is the beginning of January, end of January, you found out your actual operating income is $90. Your master budget is $130. So the first thing you can tell me is we have $60 of unfavorable. What is unfavorable? Our actual operating income is lower than our budget. So it's unfavorable. If it's operating income, your left side is lower than your right side. That's unfavorable for revenue, for operating income. But if it's cost, it will be opposite. Okay, so this is $60 unfavorable. And we said, but you don't really know this $60 unfavorable is because of the units different or because of the price difference. We don't know because your operating income is based on units and also based on price. And your actual units and price, they are both different from your master budget. So how can you contribute this $60 to units or to price? You cannot figure out what caused this unfavorable. So you cannot really fix the problem. So we said that that's not accurate because it's kind of hard to compare apple with orange. You totally sold 40 units, but you budgeted to sell 45 units, but your selling price also may be different. So you really cannot figure out what caused this $60 unfavorable. So we have to add one column in the middle so we can control one variable every time when we do the variance. we have this $60 unfavorable. This is called a master budget variance. Okay, this is called the master budget variance. Okay, and so we have to add one column in the middle. We call it as a flexible budget. We call it a flexible budget. What's the meaning of flexible budget? It is based on our actual units. It's based on our actual units. So this flexible budget is based on these 40 units, based on our 40 units. So it carries the 40 units from our actual, and we say, hey, what our revenue should have been if we sold 40 units, if our units are the same as our actual output. But so for the flexible budget, it's a combination of your actual and your master budget. So you use your actual units, but you use your master budget, the price. You use your actual units, you use your budget price. Okay, so let's do these numbers together. Let me get, okay, let me get this one. So now what is our flexible budget numbers? For the revenue, look at it here, for the revenue, we said it's a 40 units. It's a 40 units. And then we time our budgeted price. We time our budgeted price. We use that actual units. We use our budgeted price. So that gives us $240 as our flexible budget revenue. We minus the variable cost. Remember, 40 units times our budgeted price, $2. So that gives us 80. We got our flexible budget contribution margin is $160. And our fixed cost will be the same as our master budget fixed cost, which is 50. So we got our flexible budget operating income is $110. It's $110. Am I right? No. No. Oh, sorry, what I'm doing? This is so wrong. Sorry, my fault. I should have always used my calculator. I shouldn't. Sorry about that. Your master budget, 130 minus 90 is 40, is not 60. Sorry about that. It's all my fault. Okay, so I just said that, hey, this doesn't make sense. How can it be $60 unfavorable? It's a $40 unfavorable. Here is the problem. Okay, so you got your flexible budget operating income is $110. Now you have these 3 columns. Okay, your actual results, you got it from your actual department. Your flexible budget, you use your actual units, but you use your budgeted price. And your master budget, you use your budgeted units, you use your budgeted price. Okay, so now you can figure out all these, why you have this $40 unfavorable there. So we look at your actual and look at your flexible budget. The difference of these 2 columns, the difference of this actual and flexible budget, they have the same units. They are all based on 40 units. The only difference will be the price. The only difference will be the price. So we call the difference of actual and flexible budget as flexible budget variance. So we call these two columns as a flexible budget variance. Flexible budget variance. So our revenue is $200 actual, but flexible budget. If we sold 40 units, we should have $240 as our sales revenue, but we only got 200. It's all because our selling price is lower. You can even think about this. So your actual selling price will be $5 each, because 200 divided by 40 units is $5 each. But you budgeted to be $6 each. But you actually, because of some reason, you cannot sell at $6 each. You had to sell at a discount $5 each. So you had unfavorable sales revenue because your price is unfavorable. You controlled for the same units. You controlled for the same units. So now you have this $40 unfavorable revenue. And for the variable cost, your left side is smaller than your budget. So your actual is $70 of the cost. And then your budget is $80 of the cost. So you have a $10 favorable. You have a $10 favorable. You save the $10. Contribution margin, so you had this $30 unfavorable, 130 versus 160. Fixed cost, you also have 40 versus 50. So you had this $10 favorable, right? Your cost is lower than your budget. So total, your operating income, 90 versus 110, you had $20 unfavorable, which is also $30 unfavorable, plus this $10 favorable, you got $20 unfavorable. So this is what is a flexible budget. We control for the same units. We control for the same units. Any difference will be the price reason. We thought we will sell at $6, but we only sold at $5. So we had this $40 unfavorable. And let's look at this side. Now look at this side, your flexible budget and your master budget. Your flexible budget and your master budget. We said in these two columns, we control the same price. We control the same price, okay? So for the sales revenue, you said each unit is $6. But you thought you will sell 45 units. You only sold 40 units. So if there is any difference, it's all because of the volume difference. It's all because of different units, all because of different volume. So we call the difference of your flexible budget and the master budget as volume variance. So the difference of these two, we call it volume variance because it's only from different volume. It's only from the different volume, okay? Because the price is the same. It's $6, $6, $2, $2, but your volume is 40, your volume here is 45. So it's all because of a volume variance. It's all because of a volume variance. Now, your left side for the revenue, 240, is lower than your master budget. So we had this $30 unfavorable. Why is unfavorable? You thought you will sell 45 units, but you only sold 40 units. So you didn't sell as many units as you thought. You will have a $30 unfavorable. And then for the variable cost, your cost is 80, your master budget is 90, so you had $10 favorable. You had $10 favorable. You thought the cost will be $90, but you only had $80 because the units, they are lower, so you had $10 favorable. And then your contribution margin is $20 unfavorable. your fixed cost will be always 0 because we just carry the fixed cost from our master budget to our flexible budget. So totally, you have this $20 unfavorable as your operating income, 110 versus 130. Okay, I don't know, you got this one, yes or no? I hope you can feel better. Chapter 10 and chapter 11, they are related, and honestly, it's one of the hard parts. So hopefully you can get a better idea once you do more practice in chapter 11. But I want to go ahead and do the question, my accounting lab question with you. So let's go to page 8. Let's go to page 8. Okay, I'm not going to read the question, but I just use this example here to show you my steps. Okay. We said the first different ways is like a puzzle. No matter which piece you put first, it doesn't affect the final answer. So you have your actual, you have flexible budget, you have a master budget, actual flexible budget, and then master budget, right? I'll put it here. And then we said that the first thing you want to know is your actual, your flexible budget, the units will be the same as your actual. So basically we carry your actual, in our example, was 40 units, and the flexible budget is also based on 40 units. So your actual is 28,000. We carry that number to our flexible budget, will be 28,000 there. So our that's the first question mark we want to fill that first, right? Difference of these two columns called flexible budget variance. Difference of these two columns called flexible budget volume variance. Okay, so now I'll go ahead. For the actual, is nothing really much. So I just put the number, as I said, you got all the data from your actual department. Sales revenue minus variable cost gives you contribution margin. So let's do all the numbers together using the calculator. Okay, so it's 251,000 minus 201,500 gives me 49,500, and then minus 15,000 gives me 34,500. That's my actual operating income. That's my actual operating income. Okay, so after getting that, I go to do the flexible budget and then fill all the question mark there. So look at that. Your actual sales revenue, 251,000, is 6,000 favorable than your flexible budget. So your flexible budget will be lower, $6,000 lower less than your actual, right? So you can find out that they are kind of the difference. We call it variance, and then it's favorable or unfavorable. We said for the revenue, if your left side is more than your right side is favorable. So to get our flexible budget of the sales revenue, we have to subtract the 251,000, subtract the 6,000, gives me 245,000. So 245,000 as my flexible budget, How do I get my flexible budget? One more time. Flexible budget is you use the actual units time your budgeted price. So our 245,000 is based on 28,000 units. And what is the budgeted selling price? So we have to divide our units, 28,000. We said our budgeted selling price. Okay, I put it where. So my budgeted selling price has to be 8.75. Double check 8.75. So 8.75 is my budgeted selling price. So I use my budgeted selling price. I times my actual sales units. 28,000. So gives me my flexible budget revenue, 245,000. Okay. So you got that one, and then for the master budget, so master budget is your budgeted units times your budgeted price. So our budgeted units is 31,800 times our budgeted selling price is 8.75. Remember we calculated there. So you will get 278,250 as your budgeted master budget of the revenue. Your flexible budget is this, your master budget is this, your left side is lower than your right side for the revenue, so that's unfavorable. So you minus 245,000. You first get the answer is 33250, and then it's unfavorable. Okay, second part, then we keep doing for the variable expense. Let's see what we can get. Okay, so your total master budget is 198,750. We got this number based on 31,800 units. So our budgeted variable cost for each one will be 6.25, right? Will be 6.25. Our flexible budget, one more time, always remember this, your flexible budget is your actual units times your budgeted price. Your budgeted price is 6.25, your actual units is 28,000. So you get your flexible budget, variable cost has to be 175,000. And now we put the variance, favorable, unfavorable. First, we do the number, we subtract the 201,500. You get a number of 26,500. Your left side is higher than your right side and its cost, so it will be unfavorable. You actually used more cost than your budget, so it's unfavorable, 26,500. And then we do the number 175,000 minus 198,750. So you got this number is 23750. And then your left side cost is lower than your right side cost, so that will be favorable. That will be favorable. Okay, next one, contribution margin. So basically you just add those things, subtract those things, right? So you use 245,000 minus 175,000. You get your flexible budget, the contribution margin is 70,000. For this master budget is 278,280, 250 minus 198,750 gives me 79,500. Your actual contribution margin is lower than your flexible budget, 70,000 minus 49,500. So you have this is 2,500. Your actual contribution margin is 20,500 lower than your flexible budget. So it will be unfavorable. And your flexible budget is, okay, 70,000 minus 79,500. So you got the number of 9,500. Your left side is lower than your right side. This is a contribution margin, so it's unfavorable there. Next one, fixed cost is easier because for fixed cost, you just put your master budget to your flexible budget. So our master 24,000 will put to our flexible budget 24,000. Remember from this to here. So our variance is always 0 here. It's always 0 here. The question said is if it's 0, it's favorable. If it's 0, it's favorable. And then your 15,000 and 24,000. So 24,000 minus 15,000, you got a 9,000 variance. Your actual cost is lower than your budget, so it will be favorable, right? It will be favorable. So your flexible budget the operating income will be the contribution margin, minus this. So I do the number first. Contribution margin 70,000 minus 24,000. Sorry, I put one. Okay, so your flexible budget, where operating income will be 46,000. Your master budget will be 7,9,500 minus 24,000 will be 5,5,500. Okay, and then I get all the numbers first, then I put favorable or unfavorable. Gives me 1,500. Your actual operating income is lower than your flexible budget, so that will be unfavorable. And your left side is lower than your right side, its operating income, so it will be unfavorable. By how much? Do the number. So will be 9,500. Okay, so that will be all the number here. How do you feel all this puzzle? So make sure you get all the numbers. You can start, if you have other way to do it, then you can just use your method, but make sure the key part I think is flexible budget is actually a combination of your actual and master budget. You use your actual units, but you use your master budget, the price. How do you decide favorable or unfavorable? We said general idea is your left side, we look at operating income. Okay, so our goal is operating income. So operating income is the same as your revenue, but opposite with your cost. But we just look at operating income. If your left side is larger than your right side for operating income, then that's a favorable. If it's the cost, then it will be opposite. So if your left side is, how to say that, if your left side is higher than your right side, it's favorable. But if your left side is smaller than your right side, it's unfavorable. This is for revenue and for operating income. For the cost, it will be opposite. So if your left side is higher than your right side for cost, it will be unfavorable. If your left side is lower than your right side for cost, it will be favorable. Okay, I think that's all I want to say. I don't know, you are more confused or you got some idea. Let me know if you have any question. Take your time for this assignment. I think it give yourself like 1 hour, 2 hours to practice, and then practice this one first before you start looking for the My Accounting Lab. Okay, thank you. See you next time.